Hi guys, Squirrel here and welcome to a rather, exciting video I think. I'm very excited to open this. I've just received the Honeycomb Bravo Throttle Quadrant. This is one of the first ones in the country, I think. They've just been sent out to the press, of which I'm one of them. I think this is my number here, consignment number 49. This is Honeycomb's second product, which is the brand new Throttle Quadrant. It's designed to go with the Honeycomb Alpha yoke, which was their first product. If you've never seen this, perhaps you've been living under a rock, but if you're into flight sim, then this is the first product, the Honeycomb Alpha yoke, and what a great little yoke this is. This is the Throttle Quadrant, and it's designed to work alongside this, so it's going to have similar styling, and it's going to have, I think, a similar footprint, and even a similar mounting plate is what I'm expecting. But having just received this product, I have no idea. I've seen pictures of it, but I've not unboxed this yet. I've not opened any of the seals. So this is you seeing it for the first time with me. This will not be a review video. There's an embargo date of the 1st of November for press reviews. That is to say, we get these products early, we're allowed to open them and have a play with them, and then give our review on the 1st of November. In today's video, we're literally going to unbox it and have a look at what we get and what it looks like. Right, in order to do this unboxing, I've got two tools with me. I've got my trusty Norwegian pocket knife, and then the other thing is I've got my Stanley tape measure, just so that we can get an idea of dimensions of things and that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and open this up. You gotta be careful with this knife. I'm so glad that it clicks away because it is very, very sharp. Okay. And there we go. The Bravo Throttle Quadrant with autopilot and annunciator panel. Ooh. This is, I think, probably one of the first throttle quadrants I've ever seen where you have interchangeable levers, so this should be quite cool. Right. So if you've actually seen the box that comes with the Alpha, it's very similar to this. It's extremely similar. In fact, they've copied the general design. And on the back here, it kind of gives you an illustration of the kind of things that you get, all the different lever configurations. So, you know, you can put it into basically like an airline mode, so you've got airline type levers, or you can put it into more GA mode with your mixture and prop and throttle and that kind of thing. And yes, it indeed has a very identical base plate to the one that's on that yoke there. Was that beeping?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Hey Siri, can you die?
I cannot.
You know, why would... Oh, I'll just put it in airplane mode. Maybe that'll shut it up. Hey Siri. There we go. Right, so we shall open that up. And let's see what we get inside the box. So, looks like we've got two boxes here, which we'll have a look at in a second. I presume they're going to be like levers and things like that. And then we've got a huge foam topping. And then the actual throttle comes inside, which is there. I don't know if you can see this now, but so we've now got another, what looks like a foam covering, and then some extra bits and pieces. The two clamps that you get for table mounting, and then a USB-C cable. Okay. We'll open that up. Right, so first of all, let's have a look at the accessories that we get, and then we'll go through that in a little bit more detail. So this is the mounting plate, and this is indeed identical to the one that you get on the Alpha yoke. In fact, just looking at this, you can see it's literally the same. It's designed to click in and pull forward, so it works the same way. So what happens is you either put this on your desk or you clamp it on your desk with these things, and then the actual yoke or throttle just slides off, and there's 2 tightening screws, or there should be 2 tightening screws on the back to actually hold this thing down. And indeed, yeah, there you go. So these feet basically spin and come down, then it holds the whole thing in place. So that's the mounting plate. Just looking at this, actually, you know, let's do this first and then we'll have a look at that. Right, so looking at these boxes here, one says general aviation on it and the other one says commercial. So these are going to be the levers that go on the front of this thing. So if I have a look at the commercial box, and inside we've got 1 to 4 throttle levers. Wow, they've even got the reverser on the back. Look at that, spring loaded on the back. That's really cool. So the idea of these is, you know, if you've, depending on what plane you fly, obviously you can have up to 4 of these levers in place at any one time. You also get a speed brake lever and a flap lever as well. So it's super cool, super configurable. That's the commercial box. And then inside the general aviation box, it looks like we've got 2 prop levers, 2 throttle levers, 2 mixture levers, sorry, and presume they're the throttle levers with a red dot on them. That one doesn't have a red dot. That's interesting. So I don't know why that one, is that meant to be a oh, that's to toggle, is that toggle speed brake? I'm trying to think what that would be used for now, but there's an extra toggle switch on one of the throttle levers, which that one doesn't have. Okay. 2 mixtures and 2 props, so really configurable. USB-C lead, the 2 mounting plate feet, and then we also get partner offers, which is obviously stuff to do with X-Plane and that kind of thing. Honeycomb Aeronautical Bravo Throttle Quadrant. So this is the actual manual that explains, you know, what levers you have, what you can fit, how you fit them. And then finally something from Aerosoft, who are the distributor in Europe, World of Aviation, P3D, V4, etc. Right, so that's the extra bits and pieces. Let's actually have a look at the throttle itself. Right, so the first thing, you know, the first obvious thing about this is this whole section here is almost identical to the Alpha yoke. This whole base has been reused, which makes a lot of sense because that's going to simplify manufacturing and production, and also means that you can mount them next to each other and they look very, very similar. So starting on the left over here, you have the gear up and down lever. Over on the top here, we have a row for the autopilot. So we have altitude, vertical speed, heading. God, I need my glasses. Actually, I can't read that. Alt mode, V-speed mode, vertical speed mode, heading, course, and indicated airspeed. So this is all to do with the autopilot control up here. We then got increase and decrease, and when I turn this, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's basically like a notched feeling. So the idea, I think, is you can basically turn that and do incremental. It doesn't push or anything, but so I don't know how you control how much, whether it's in thousands or hundreds or anything like that if you're doing altitude. I don't know how that works yet. Along the top, we've then got the heading, nav, approach, reverse course, altitude, course, and indicated airspeed knobs along here as well. These are all push buttons. Don't know if they light up. We'll have to see when we plug that in. And then if I tilt this down a little bit, perhaps you can see that what you've then got is a set of 2 position switches. And along the top here it says master warning and master caution. So this, I think these are annunciator displays. These are actually things that light up, but you've got master warning, master caution, engine fire and vacuum, low oil pressure and low hydraulic pressure, low fuel pressure, auxiliary fuel pump, anti-ice, parking brake, starter engaged, low voltage, APU and door. And then a whole load of switches that I don't know if these are tied to this here or whether these are something that you can map yourself, but there's no indicators on them, so they're They don't look like they're physically mapped to anything out of the box, unlike these are up here. So my guess is that these are configurable. Over here is something that I've wanted for a very long time. It's a trim wheel. Now you can buy trim wheels separately. I think Cytec or Logitech now used to make one. This is built into the throttle quadrant and it has a really nice feel to it. But just having a trim wheel instead of having to, you know, reach over and press up and press down as I do at the moment, that is going to make a huge difference, particularly to GA flying. But if you look at the style of it, it's styled very similar to something out of, say, a Boeing trim wheel, which is kind of cool. Then we come to the actual levers, the ones that we get out of the box, and they all go into this bit here. So we'll take a look at these and we'll talk about this little knob on the side. Right, so having a look at this, it appears that when you get it in the box, it's got these little like rubber covers over it, over each of the lever positions, and then obviously you put the handle on top. So I think that when you're not using some of these, say you was flying a GA and you didn't use those three on the right, what you would do is you'd put these back in position just to stop dust and stuff getting inside. That's how I think it's designed to work. If you actually look at each lever, it has a series of markers on it. So on the far left here, you've got flight detent, armed and down. So I'm guessing if we take that off, yeah, there's a physical detent just about here. So obviously the throttle is designed to go from 0 to max, and then also when you pull it down, you can engage the reversers, which is kind of cool. If you're just using it, I guess, in a normal GA mode, then you wouldn't be bothered about the detent, unless you happen to be flying something like a turboprop that has the ability to go into reverse, because I'm guessing all of these will go into a reverser setting. That, I just remembered, that is what it actually says on it, go round. That is actually the toga button on the left there. So I think these, yeah, they basically click in and remove, so it's a very configurable system. That's got a nice smooth action, and this down here, I believe, loosens it up, or yeah. So if I screw that clockwise, I get a lot more friction here. So depending on how much friction you want, you can use this little adjuster, but that will, I think, adjust all of them, so you can't have them on different physical resistances. You've got to have all of them on the same resistance. So we put that in there. Let's just pop this out here. So if we were going for like a GA configuration, for example, we might go something like this and put a mixture bar like here, like that. And there you go. So for like a single engine piston, like a standard GA plane, we've now got throttle, prop, and mixture. We could, in fact, just drop, like if you're just flying a Cessna 172 or something, you could just pull that out and then just have throttle and mixture if you wanted to. There's nothing to stop you doing that. Equally, if you was flying, you know, twin engine, like a, I don't know, maybe like a Beechcraft or something, you could have two throttle levers, and then you could have two prop levers and just go all the way across the board. Like that, and then pull those off as well, and then have two mixture levers on the right. Is that designed to go on that way, or is that designed to go on? I think they all go. Yeah, there you go. So that's what it would look like in a full multi-engine GA configuration. And then if you wanted to, if you got reverse prop, you can pull it all the way back and get your reverse prop. Be interested to see how this all works in the actual sims themselves, like what kind of support they have for the throttle axes that we've got here, and whether we can engage the reverser properly. The toga button's obviously easy enough to map. And finally, if you are in GA mode, I think the idea is that this is your GA flap switch over here. And I think I missed out the autopilot button here earlier. But I think that's the GA flap switch, whereas if we have this in airline mode, which we'll reconfigure for in a second, then there's actually indicators around here for the flap settings. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and full, and then obviously the more Boeing style, which is 0, 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, all the way down to 40, I think it is. So that's the more kind of bowing flap style. So let's pull all these out and we'll try the commercial levers. Right, so with the commercial levers, because obviously these are a little bit more complicated, the actual finger lever goes at the back there. And that clicks on like that. So you've actually got these to operate with your fingers. And again, you can use the full reverse of detent if you want to. You can have two, perhaps if you're flying a 737 or something, or if you're flying a 747 maybe, you could do all of this and have 4 engine configuration. That one's actually got a sticker on it. Rotate top 180 degrees. Oh, I see. I think there's just a sticker telling me to that we can turn those numbers. Actually, why does that say 1224? Shouldn't that say 1234? Or is there a different number on it? Oh, there you go. Okay. That's interesting. So what's that got on it? That's just got 4 on it. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. And then you've obviously got a flap lever and a speed brake lever. If we actually have a look at the box, so we can get an idea of what they're doing on the box, they've actually got, I think, the speed brake lever they've put down here somewhere. Or did they just mount that on the... Okay, I think I know what they've done. So what they've done is they've put 4 here, I think. They put them in the middle. So they have the 4 in the middle like that, and then the speed brake goes over that one, and then the flap goes over that one. So that's the commercial setup. So the interesting thing about this speed brake is, like, it says armed down and up. So speed brake armed is here. Is that speed brake not armed, or does it have to be all the way down here? That I don't know. Then you've got your 4 levers with your reversers on the back, which is, I mean, that's gonna feel pretty special. You know, actually flying in a jet aircraft and pushing those levers forward and that feel of it, and then the reversers, that's going to feel pretty cool. And then obviously your flap setting, which depending on if you're flying an Airbus or a Boeing, you can just read the different numbers off. But yeah, so that's the actual commercial layout, and then that was a GA layout. So let's just have a quick measure and see what kind of dimensions this thing's at, and we'll try mounting it on the desk here. Right, let's have a look with the trusty tape measure just how big this thing is. So from the actual back to the start of this, so this is where obviously your table, the front of your table is going to be. That's about 25 centimeters, approximately 10 inches. And all the way to the front, so in terms of clearance, you're going to be looking at about 40 centimeters, which is almost 16 inches front to back. It's quite a deep thing. We'll compare it against the yoke in a minute, but like I say, the box dimensions are the same. So width-wise, you're going to need about 30 centimeters approximately, which is about 12 inches. And the actual base unit height from just that bit there is 12 centimeters, 5 inches. So, you know, like I say, it's built like the yoke. We'll look at that in a second. But what I want to do now is just show you how these things mount. So you get a few options in terms of mounting, depending on whether you're trying to fix it in place or just have it, you know, so that you can remove it and put a steering wheel there or whatever. There is a removable pad on the bottom of this thing, and this thing underneath it is very, very sticky. So if you wanted to sort of permanently mount the base but not clamp it, you could quite literally stick this to the table, and I imagine that will stay there quite well. There's also these semi rubberized pads on the bottom, and I think they are there to stop it from physically moving when you start to clamp this thing. In terms of clamping it, you get these clamp levers, and these will open up to maximum 6 centimeters, about 2.5 inches is the most you're going to get internally out of that. But do bear in mind you've got this thickness of this to deal with as well. So what you do is, it's got a little hole in it there, you see, and that hooks in to the peg that sticks out there. So that goes over, hooks into that peg, and then obviously you spin this thing and tighten it up. And it does, when you clamp this thing in, it does give you a pretty strong grip on any table. I've actually got my yoke is mounted on my rig back there, and that clamps on it and it hasn't moved yet. So I know these things are pretty secure. So you clamp that on, that gives you the stable platform that you need. You can optionally flick these things over to give it a little bit of a rake, but personally I tend not to do that. But it is, you know, if you want to do it, you can do it. And then simplistically what happens is we put that pin in the hole, and then we shove it back to sort of keep it in place. Now obviously if you then pull the whole thing forward, as you will with a yoke, the only thing then stopping it are these wheels, and these wheels come down and meet the platform and lift it off the back, and that provides a tension that basically locks that pin into that hole. So if we put it on and then spin the levers at the back, that raises the back up and basically pulls it onto that pin. It's quite a nice design, and that is now, well, you see it's shaking the desk. It's pretty solid, it's not going to go anywhere. Let's have a look at what it looks like next to the yoke. Right, this is the Bravo Throttle Quadrant, and that is the Honeycomb Alpha yoke. And I've put them next to each other, they're both on the mounting plate. You can see some differences, like the actual front panel here is a little bit different to the front panel there. It's, I don't know, it kind of looks the same but different somehow. This definitely has a better feeling plastic. This one's a year old, so it might just be the dust, but this feels slightly different material to that one. They have these screw points along the top here. They're basically like an Allen key screw, and what they're for, you can actually pop these out and you can put those Logitech Cytec flight panels, and they actually line up on those holes. That's what they're for, so they kept them. I think looking at it, the throttle quadrant comes down deeper at the front. It comes down, obviously overhangs right down, whereas the yoke stops at your table level. This one comes right down, and that's, you know, effectively to deploy this whole quadrant here at a lower angle. But as you can see, they work with each other, look pretty good, and in terms of all the switches and the buttons and stuff that you get on these things, that accounts for most of your flying, quite frankly. The switches on the front feel exactly the same as the switches on the front of the yoke, although they're actually coloured, whereas they're black and generically mappable, whereas these are for master and avionics. So, you know, you can see the similarities between the two. They're definitely, you know, a common brand, a common style, and even just a common chassis that the whole things go into. Well, that completes the unboxing of the Honeycomb Bravo Throttle Quadrant. That is my very first look at this thing. It's great to have it in the flesh. I'm going to go away and plug this in and give it a whirl on the flight sim, and I will of course get you my thoughts after the 1st of November. Take care guys, happy flying.